having an absolutely fantastic morning, afternoon, or night, whatever it is for you when today's video finally reaches you. Today's video is really exciting for me, you guys, because we are once again going to be diving into yet another paranormal game. Except this game is a game that I've personally never heard of before, and though it's fairly similar to the Three Kings ritual, it's Charlotte's Web, the dangerous paranormal game. It's been a while since we've dove into another paranormal game, and so for today's video we're going to be talking about what Charlotte's Web is all about, the history of Charlotte, and then reading somebody's experience with Charlotte after playing Charlotte's Web. Let's get into this paranormal game, Charlotte's Web, which is nothing like the Charlotte's Web I grew up knowing about. Charlotte Webster was a 7-year-old girl who lived in the 1400s. Her mother was accused of being a witch and was burned at the stake. The young girl watched her mother die in agony and escaped into the woods. She couldn't have known what to do. She was so young and had no means of surviving. The legend says she died in those woods and was picked apart by animals that came across her body. Essentially, this game is supposed to allow you to conjure up the spirit of little Charlotte and have a chat, but you're gonna wanna make sure you follow the rules. For supplies, you'll need flashlights, however many you need to see. Remember not to use a flame of any sorts, no candles, lighters, etc. Charlotte's mother was burned at the stake, so she won't appreciate the fire. Then you need a child's toy. This should be something that you think Charlotte will enjoy thoroughly. This is an offering to her, so you need to keep that in mind. You definitely want Charlotte to be pleased. You'll need 2 chairs, a small table, and a mirror. Here's how you play. You'll want to set this up in a room without windows if at all possible. If you don't have access to such a room, make sure to cover the windows completely so no outside light enters the room. Set up your 2 chairs facing the same direction with the table in between and slightly behind the chairs. Go ahead and set the child's toy that you've brought as an offering to Charlotte on the table. Set the mirror in front of the chair so that you can see yourselves and the table in the mirror without turning your head. When everything is in place, turn on your flashlights and then turn down the lights in the room and walk back to take your seats in the chairs. Take a couple of deep breaths and then in unison say, "We want to play Charlotte's Web, one time only." You might want to practice this ahead of time to make sure you're really in sync with each other. Look into the mirror. Keep your eyes on the reflection of the toy and wait. Don't be afraid. Charlotte can sense fear and she won't come if you're afraid. Eventually, Charlotte will come into view in the mirror. If Charlotte takes the toy from the table, then she is pleased with what you've brought for her. She likes to play and she's naturally curious, so at this time, take your turn asking her questions. Don't be rude. Do not turn your head to look behind you or at the table. Keep your eyes on the mirror. When you've finished asking questions, you can close out the game as explained below. If Charlotte does not take the toy from the table, then she is unhappy with what you've brought her. Remember, she's a child and she will throw a tantrum, and the level of her tantrum is only elevated by the fact she's also a spirit. Immediately close the game. Remember, do not look away from the mirror. In perfect unison, say, "Goodbye, Charlotte." If you have successfully closed the game, Charlotte will slowly wander from view. Once she's gone, and only once she is completely out of view, you may turn around and look behind you. You can now stand up and turn on the lights in the room. This game comes with the warning that you should only play it once, because you don't want to draw the attention of Charlotte so she decides to stay. Warning. As stated numerous times throughout this explanation, do not at any time look away from the mirror. Don't look at the person with whom you're playing the game. Don't look behind you and don't look at the table. This can anger Charlotte, and again, her temper tantrums could end with injury or destruction of property in your house. Player be warned. And that is how you play Charlotte's Web. Now, from what I've learned from doing research into this game, Charlotte isn't inherently evil. She's not an evil spirit. She's the lost spirit of a little girl. And it's just whether or not you have a positive experience with her, whether it can turn dangerous. So if you give an offering of the toy to Charlotte and she accepts the toy and you're polite to her, it's said that she'll go on her way. But if you offend her or she doesn't like what you brought or you don't bring her anything, it can turn violent very quickly. Now, the reason that they say not to play the game twice is because if you keep offering Charlotte toys, she might decide to stay with you and nobody knows what that could mean because Charlotte's personality can change between very happy and an innocent little girl to very, very angry and violent. So we're gonna read somebody's experience with Charlotte that I came across. There supposedly used to be a really big warning about Charlotte. I'll read you that actually right now, because I saw this as well. Because the experience that I'm gonna share with you guys is positive. However, upon doing my research, where is it? Oh, okay. A no sleep post had updates, which was an experience to the story, and one of which was a warning to not under any circumstances play the game. Supposedly the user had had a traumatic experience and said, even if you think it's going to be a positive experience, do not play the game. But then all of a sudden all the posts got deleted, the user's account was deleted, and nobody ever heard from them again. So people don't know if they really had a terrifying experience, if their disappearance had something to do with their experience, or what. But people have had dark experiences. However, a lot of times those experiences wind up deleted afterwards, which is very interesting to me. But let's get into this experience. You guys, the weirdest thing just happened. The candle that I have inside of that pumpkin just started smelling like it's burning, and my head just got so dizzy. And a part of me is wondering if I should blow out the candle because maybe talking about Charlotte with fire in here is upsetting her. So let me blow out the candle because I feel weird and the room smells like a fire. Well, obviously I have a candle on, but I've had the candle on and it just started smelling like really bad. So hold on. Whoa, I already feel better. That was really weird, you guys. I went to go and look to like pull up the experience that someone had, and all of a sudden the room started smelling like, you know when a candle's about to burn out and it smells really, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a really strong smell. And this is not a scented candle and it's brand new, so there's no reason for it to smell like that, but it hasn't smelled like that at all. And then all of a sudden my head started to feel weird and the candle smelled different. And now that I've blown it out, I feel fine. So probably should have thought that through about talking about a spirit that doesn't like fire and having a candle. But okay, let's carry on. Here we go. My experience playing Charlotte's Web. My friend showed me how to play Charlotte's Web after she found it on some websites with lists of creepy legends and whatnot. She was eager to play and so was I. After all, this looked less horrifying than any that I'd seen. We got all the supplies together and set everything up around noon in her basement. When we started the game, I tried to remain calm. This proved to be easier said than done because, you know, we were waiting for a ghost child to walk behind us. After a minute or two, I heard something behind us, but I couldn't see anything in the mirror. When she finally came into view with a torn white dress and muddy bare feet, I didn't know what to do. I kept waiting to see what her reaction would be to the toy. I saw her eyes widen a bit when she noticed the Barbie we'd set out. The hair on the back of my neck stood straight up when she leaned across the table and grabbed it. When her hand got close to us, it got really cold, but warmed up when she snatched the Barbie and pulled her arm away. At this point, I was ready to jump up and leave, but I sat there and looked between Charlotte and my friend in the mirror. She looked more frightened than I did, but we powered through it. Charlotte cradled the doll in her arms and smiled at us. This might sound weird, but a wave of happiness and affection washed over me as she did. I started smiling. She was an adorable little girl, and it made me giddy to see that we'd made her happy, but I had to remind myself. I made eye contact with my friend in the mirror and slightly nodded as a cue to start interrogating her. How old are you? Charlotte scrunched up her nose for a second and confidently said, 7.5. Her voice was high-pitched and loud, but at the same time it was like she whispered it in my ear. It was my turn. Where do you live? I got goosebumps when she pointed to the mirror, and I saw my friend's eyes get big. My friend asked Charlotte if she had a favorite color. She held up the Barbie doll and gestured to its magenta dress and shouted, pink. She talked with such energy and seemed genuinely happy to share her thoughts with us. My turn again. How'd you tear your dress? She frowned and shrugged her shoulders. Maybe she didn't realize she was dead. My friend asked her if she liked talking to people through the mirror. Charlotte gave us a huge grin and nodded her head. I felt the wave of happiness again. After asking more generic questions like what she liked to do, we ended the game. Charlotte looked a little disappointed, but she waved goodbye and walked to the side until we couldn't see her any longer. We could still hear her small footsteps. Less than 10 seconds later, we couldn't hear anything and the game was over. All in all, it was a very scary experience, but it left me with a warm, fuzzy feeling. I can't imagine how the game will play out if she got angry. and that's the end of the experience. So overall, in my opinion, I don't feel like Charlotte's Web is the most dangerous paranormal game, but like I say with all paranormal games, I think that it's really important to look into it fully, know how to play properly, play by the rules if you are going to play a paranormal game, and remember that when you open the doors, you don't always get to decide what comes through them. And you have to be very respectful and very careful, because while plenty of people have probably played the game and nothing happened, you never know what could happen if it works for you and you do upset Charlotte. What do you guys think of the game Charlotte's Web? It's very similar to the Three Kings Ritual, although in my opinion a little less terrifying. So I'm really curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below, and that is it for today's video. If you're new to my channel or you are just not yet subscribed but you do enjoy my videos, I would absolutely love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button, and please give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Remember, my loves, do all things with kindness, and until next time, I love you.